In the summer of 1936, the worst heat wave in American history killed crops across millions of acres. Temperatures held above 100 degrees for weeks. Rivers dried up. Topsoil blew off fields in black walls of dust that swallowed entire farmsteads whole. But the Amish gardens in Lancaster County kept producing. Not because of better technology. Not because of irrigation systems or shade cloth. Because they understood something about heat, soil, and vegetables that the rest of American agriculture has spent a century slowly forgetting. They knew which vegetables to plant, and exactly where. The Amish are not hobbyists. They are the most rigorously tested food producers in North America, communities that have operated without a supermarket safety net for over 3 centuries. Every planting decision refined across generations of failure and success, passed grandmother to granddaughter in gardens that could not afford a single wasted season. There are 9 vegetables that don't just survive summer heat. They are built to thrive in it. Vegetables other gardeners write off in July as finished, bolted, burned out, while Amish kitchen gardens pull full harvests from the same beds well into September. The difference is not luck, not a soil amendment or a boutique seed catalog. It is knowledge. Specific, practical, generational knowledge about which plants the summer belongs to. This is your last planting window. The summer is not over, but the margin is closing. Stay with me because number 7 on this list is a heat-loving crop Amish farmers have grown as a summer staple for generations, and modern research just confirmed it produces its highest yields at the exact temperatures that destroy everything else in your garden. Vegetable numbers 1, leaf lettuce. Here is something that should permanently change how you think about shade. Leaf lettuce, the most widely grown salad green in the world, is not just tolerant of shade. It is measurably better in shade than in full sun. And the reason comes down to one biological process most gardeners have never heard of. When lettuce hits intense heat and light, it starts bolting, sending up a seed stalk. As that happens, the plant floods its own leaves with bitter defensive compounds called sesquiterpene lactones. The same compounds that make overripe lettuce taste like medicine. The plant is protecting its seeds from being eaten. That bitterness is not a growing failure. It is the plant doing exactly what it was designed to do. Shade interrupts that entire sequence. Penn State Extension research confirms that cool, shaded root environments delay the bolting trigger, extending the vegetative window from early spring well into midsummer. Weeks of additional harvest from the same plants. And the flavor difference is not subtle. Loose-leaf varieties grown under filtered light maintain high succulence, soft, melt-in-the-mouth texture, while full-sun counterparts dry out, toughen, and turn sharp. The Amish knew this for generations. In Lancaster County, kitchen garden lettuce was tucked under east-facing barn eaves, catching morning light, sheltered through the brutal afternoon hours. So tender it needed nothing beyond a splash of apple cider vinegar. 2 to 3 hours of direct morning light. After that, shade is not a compromise. It is the method. Vegetable numbers 2, spinach. Spinach is a cool season plant being grown by millions of people in the wrong conditions. The evidence is right there in their garden. Yellowed leaves, a seed stalk by June, flavor that turns sharp almost overnight. Here is what is actually happening. Spinach bolts in response to 2 triggers working together. Rising temperatures and lengthening days. When both are present, which they are across most of North America from late May through August, the plant makes an irreversible decision to reproduce rather than feed you. Shade disrupts the thermal half of that equation. Research published in Frontiers in Plant Science found that shaded environments suppress the temperature signals that accelerate bolting, keeping the plant producing harvestable leaves instead of racing towards seed production. Under partial shade, spinach increases its thylakoid density, turning deeper green as its chloroplasts adapt to capture diffuse light more efficiently. The yellowing and structural collapse you see in full-sun summer spinach? That is excess solar radiation destroying a plant that was never designed for it. 3 to 4 hours of direct sun is all spinach needs. Beyond that, shade is not a limitation, it is protection. Plant it on the north side of your bean trellises. Tuck it under your squash canopy. Let it grow where conventional wisdom says nothing should. It will outperform every spinach you have grown in full sun. Vegetable numbers 3, arugula. If you have grown arugula in July and watched it turn from peppery to aggressively bitter in 2 weeks, the answer is not your soil, not your watering. It is the sun. Arugula contains glucosinolates, sulfur-based compounds responsible for its peppery bite. Under moderate light and cool temperatures, those compounds stay balanced. The flavor is complex, layered, enjoyable. But under high heat and high light stress, the plant rapidly accelerates glucosinolate production as a defense response, and that peppery quality crosses into something harsh and medicinal. Multiple shade cultivation studies confirm it. Arugula receiving approximately 3 hours of direct sun produces larger, more delicate leaves with stable, mild flavor and virtually no bolting tendency through the hot months. The Amish understood this intuitively. Arugula was traditionally grown as a companion under taller brassicas, kale, cabbage, broccoli, where the canopy created dappled, filtered light that kept glucosinolate levels in check. No special equipment, no shade cloth, just smart placement built on generations of getting it right. Shade does not diminish arugula. It refines it. Quick question, how many times have you replanted the same tomatoes, the same basil, the same peppers? Every single spring? Same cart, same garden center, same cycle. What if you only had to plant it once? That's literally the idea behind Plant Once, my perennial starter checklist and zone guide. Find your zone in under 5 minutes. Know exactly what to plant first, and build a garden that comes back year after year, without you lifting a finger every spring. Plant it once. Harvest it for years. Links in the description, or scan the QR code on your screen to get your copy right now. Let's stop starting over. Before we get to vegetables 4 through 9, and especially number 6, one quick question. Your shadiest spot. One word. Drop it in the comments right now. Corner. Fence. Wall. North side. Under the deck. Whatever it is, write it down. Because by the end of this video, that spot is no longer wasted space. It is your most productive bed of the summer. I read every single comment. And if you tell me what you are working with, I will tell you exactly what to plant there. If this is landing for you, hit subscribe. Every week on this channel, we recover the growing knowledge that self-sufficient communities never forgot. Now, back to the list. Vegetable numbers 4, kale. Most people who grow kale in full summer sun end up with something they do not actually want to eat. Thick, fibrous leaves. Flavor that shifts from mildly sweet to aggressively bitter. A plant that looks more like a decorative shrub than something worth harvesting. This is not a variety problem. It is a light and heat problem. Kale evolved in cool, temperate climates where intense summer sun was never part of the equation. When hit with high light intensity and elevated temperatures simultaneously, the plant redirects energy toward structural defense. Leaves toughen. Fibrous cell walls thicken. Bitter compounds accumulate. The plant is hardening itself against an environment it was never designed for. Shade reverses that entire process. Multiple extension shade cultivation trials confirm that kale grown under dappled or afternoon shade maintains a milder, sweeter flavor and genuinely tender leaf texture. The kind that makes raw kale salads actually pleasant. Not something you have to massage for 10 minutes just to make edible. There is a second advantage most gardeners never consider. Shade enables cut and come again harvesting, removing only the outer mature leaves while leaving the central growing tip intact. This delays the plant's transition to reproductive growth. In full sun, summer kale burns through that window fast. In shade, the same plants produce continuously from late spring well into autumn. 3 to 4 hours of direct sun. Afternoon shade. That is the entire method. The Amish did not grow kale as a summer novelty. They grew it as a workhorse green, tucked deliberately into the shadows, feeding families through the longest, hottest months of the year. Vegetable numbers 5, broccoli. Broccoli is one of the most frustrating vegetables in the home garden. You nurse it through weeks of growth, and then right as the head should be forming, something goes wrong. It comes in small, loose, and almost immediately breaks into yellow flowers. The window between ready and ruined feels like you missed it while you were at work. That failure has a name. It is called buttoning, and it is almost always triggered by heat stress during head development. Here is the biology. Broccoli heads are tightly packed flower buds held in check by cool temperatures. When ambient temperature rises above a threshold during head formation, the plant receives a hormonal signal that conditions are favorable for reproduction, and those buds begin opening prematurely. The head that should have been dense and tight comes in loose, small, and unusable within days. Partial shade, specifically afternoon shade that blocks peak heat hours, cools the microclimate enough to stabilize that hormonal signal. Buds stay closed. The head forms properly. The harvest window widens from a matter of days to a week or more. Extension research consistently confirms it. Broccoli grown with afternoon shade protection produces tighter, sweeter, more uniform heads than broccoli grown in unobstructed full sun during warm months. 4 to 6 hours of morning sun is sufficient. Afternoon shade is not a compromise. It is the agronomic advantage serious growers build into their layouts deliberately. Vegetable number 6. Radishes. This is the one I mentioned at the beginning. And once you understand why it works, you will never grow radishes in full sun again. Traditional Amish kitchen gardens followed a layout principle modern gardening largely abandoned: intercropping. Radishes were almost never grown in dedicated open beds. They were tucked between rows of taller crops: beans, corn, squash, where the canopy provided consistent shade through the hottest parts of the day. The reason was practical and precise. Radishes mature fast, some varieties in as little as 20 days. But in full summer heat, that speed works against you. The root expands faster than the plant can keep pace with internally. The result is a radish that turns pithy, woody, and pungently sharp, hollow and spongy at the center, unpleasant to eat raw. Cool, shaded soil slows that expansion just enough to keep the root developing evenly. Multiple shade cultivation studies confirm that radishes receiving 3 to 4 hours of direct sun consistently produce crisper, milder, more hydrated roots than full sun plantings in warm conditions. Lower light moderates the growth rate. Cooler soil reduces the pungent compound development that makes summer radishes so aggressive in flavor. The shaded intercrop position is not where radishes end up by accident. It is where they belong. 6 vegetables down. 3 to go. And the final 3 are where it gets genuinely surprising. We are moving from leafy greens and fast-maturing roots into territory almost nobody associates with shade growing. Root vegetables that develop sweeter flavor profiles specifically because of reduced light. A pod-bearing crop that produces more reliably in partial shade than in the open beds where most gardeners plant it. Every vegetable on this half of the list shares a common thread: a biological mechanism involving soil temperature, sugar preservation, and cellular respiration that researchers have only recently begun to fully document, but that the Amish were already applying without a laboratory, without an extension bulletin, without anyone telling them it worked. They just watched, they adjusted, and they fed their families. 3 more. Stay with me. Vegetable number 7, carrots. The flavor of a carrot comes down to one thing: how much sugar the root accumulates before harvest. And sugar accumulation is directly controlled by soil temperature. Here is the science in plain language. When soil runs hot under direct summer sun, the carrot root's cellular respiration accelerates. The plant burns through its accumulated sugars faster than it can replace them. The result is a carrot that tastes flat, woody, occasionally bitter at the core. You have tasted that carrot. Everyone has. Looks right from the outside. Disappoints the moment you bite in. Shaded soil stays cooler. Cooler soil suppresses that respiration rate. The sugars stay locked inside the root where they belong. Research on sugar concentration in root vegetables confirms that keeping soil temperatures below 24 degrees Celsius during root development measurably increases soluble solids concentration, the precise technical measure of sweetness, in the harvested root. That is a documented biochemical relationship between temperature, respiration, and sugar preservation. It applies directly to every carrot growing in your garden right now. The practical application is simple. Carrots develop underground, which means the above-ground light requirement is lower than most people assume. Morning sun handles the photosynthesis. Afternoon shade handles the soil temperature. Varieties like Littlefinger and Paris Market are specifically suited to partial shade. producing reliable harvests with as little as 4 to 5 hours of direct light. The Amish planted root vegetables along the eastern edges of their gardens deliberately. Full morning intensity, sheltered from the afternoon heat that would have robbed the roots of sweetness. Managing soil temperature without a thermometer. Reading the land. Vegetable numbers 8. Beets. Beets grown in partial shade do something full-sun beets rarely manage. They produce 2 genuinely usable crops from a single planting. Most gardeners are only ever collecting one of them. Under reduced light, beet plants prioritize leaf area expansion, compensating for lower photosynthetic input by increasing the surface available to capture what light there is. The result is large, tender, deeply pigmented beet greens, not the tough, sun-scorched, leathery leaves that full-sun summer beets produce and most people discard without a second thought. Those greens are a legitimate harvest, nutritionally dense, culinarily versatile, and completely wasted by gardeners who treat the root as the only goal. Meanwhile, the root develops more slowly under shade, and that slower development works in your favor. It stays tender and earthy rather than turning woody and fibrous the way heat-stressed beets do when they mature too fast in open ground. The flavor holds. The texture holds. Both crops arrive at the table in usable condition. 3 to 4 hours of direct sun is sufficient. The shadier the afternoon, the better the greens perform. Plant them where taller crops cast afternoon shadow. Let the canopy do the work. Then harvest both and use everything the plant produced. Vegetable numbers 9. Bush beans. Bush beans are a fruiting crop. They follow different rules from leafy greens and root vegetables. They need more light. They need warmth to set fruit. By every conventional guideline, they belong in full sun, which is exactly why most people are surprised when their full-sun bush beans stop producing in July. Here is what is happening. Bean blossoms are extraordinarily sensitive to heat. When afternoon temperatures spike, and across most of North America from late June through August, they routinely do, the flowers desiccate and drop before pollination can occur. The plant keeps growing. The foliage stays green, but the pods never come. The productive window closes weeks earlier than it should, and most gardeners assume the season is simply over. Afternoon shade changes that outcome entirely. Partial shade buffers the peak heat hours that destroy bean blossoms. Flowers stay viable longer into the day. Pollination completes. Pods set. The window that would have closed in mid-July extends well into August. More pods, a longer harvest, a plant that keeps working through the hottest stretch of the season instead of shutting down inside it. Compact varieties like Royal Burgundy and Dragon Tongue are specifically documented in shade cultivation research as performing well under partial shade with 4 to 5 hours of direct sun. Unlike climbing pole beans, which expend energy reaching toward available light, bush beans stay compact and channel energy directly into pod production regardless of light intensity. Tuck them under the afternoon shadow of your corn. Let your taller brassicas shield them through the heat of the day. The Amish intercropping tradition was built on exactly this principle, deliberate layering of crops that protected each other through the hardest months of the season. Full sun starts the season. Afternoon shade finishes it. 9 vegetables. One principle that changes everything about how you read your garden. The shadiest corner of your property is not a problem to solve. It is a growing system waiting to be activated, one that Amish homesteaders, traditional kitchen gardeners, and university researchers all agree on. Stop fighting your landscape. Start reading it. You now have a planting list built specifically for that shady spot you described in the comments. Lettuce, spinach, arugula, kale, broccoli, radishes, carrots, beets, bush beans. Plant any one of them this season, and your relationship with that corner changes permanently. If this shifted the way you think about shade, hit like and subscribe. Every week on this channel, we recover the growing knowledge that self-sufficient communities never forgot. The food was always there. You just needed to know where to look.